Ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy down in the Play Minute Silence, and we're back this time to talk college football. And it's the SEC, man. It's the best conference in football, the Southeastern Conference. Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Texas A&M, all ranked in the top 25 to start the season off. Hey, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Florida all won 10 games last season. So what's it going to look like for the end of the season? And by the way, real football kicks off Florida, Miami, Arizona, Hawaii. We're going to preview both games while also diving into the Southeastern Conference. Sit back, relax, do whatever it is you do when you listen to your podcast, and enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Playmakers podcast. We're talking college football today, and we're talking about the best conference there is, the Southeastern Conference. And you know who's with me, my good favorite co-host, Dallas Glenn.
What up? What up? What's up?
It's the best conference, Dallas.
It's the only conference. I mean, Clemson and South Carolina, they can count too. I mean,
let's go ahead and jump into it. This is the Southeastern Conference. Everybody know about this. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, Auburn, South Carolina. Let's say somebody from the Southeastern Conference, and they would know off the bat. Dallas, go ahead and talk about the Southeastern Conference.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the weird thing about the Southeastern Conference is we can't even, usually the joke is there's, the Southeastern Conference, then Kentucky and Vanderbilt. And even though Kentucky, I wouldn't say the word fluke. Fluke is a strong word in college football because talent is extremely important. But Benny Snell and Josh Allen were a huge factor in Kentucky doing what they did last year. Do I expect Kentucky to replicate? No. But the fact that I am saying Kentucky's name this much in the same paragraph lets you know how deep the Southeastern Conference is. We're still waiting for Tennessee to come back. But the problem is everybody is waiting for Tennessee to come back. The SEC East makes itself look like it's a garbage division. But I will honestly take the SEC East, the weaker division in the SEC, over a lot of other divisions and conferences in college football. The SEC has the other division, the SEC West, where pretty much it's almost guaranteed if a team from the SEC West were to go undefeated, I would even say if Arkansas were to go undefeated, the teams they would have to beat to go undefeated, I don't think there's a way that you keep the SEC West champion and in turn if they go undefeated, the SEC champion out of the playoffs. I think since day one, it has been established, even with the super controversial playoff where we had the team that wasn't it that one year where Alabama? No, they lost the SEC championship game, or did they lose their division?
They lost their division.
Yeah, so we had one year where Alabama didn't even win their division, and they went on to win the national championship. It's like we saved this conference for last because, truth be told, I mean, we wanted to give the other conferences a chance. We don't want to just talk about the SEC and talk about the fact that Georgia made a New Year's Six bowl, got clapped up. Alabama just made the number one draft pick look like a regular dude that should be playing baseball. We wanted to give the rest of the country a chance, Darnell, but guess who's in week 0 again? It was Auburn last year, SEC. It's an SEC team this year. College football, the networks know. If you want ratings, if you have a dead period, if you have something you want to throw out there and try, if you have a rivalry from the 80s that you want to bring back, Darnell, you look to the SEC. And if you want to go schematics and schedules, I mean, dude, does it matter? Because the SEC is the only conference in college football where everybody probably has a cupcake late in the season, but it don't matter because they play in the SEC.
I would say this. Technically, SEC is not last. We still got the Pac-12 to talk about. And unfortunately, I think the Pac-12 fans have pretty much doomed the Pac-12 their own self.
We didn't talk about the Pac-12 yet?
No, we did not do the Pac-12.
For real?
Nope, the Pac-12 is still left in the fan. And from what news came out today, the Pac-12 fan base probably doomed the Pac-12 for a whole nother year or two. But I'll get into that next week, though.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they did. They did. Oh, wow. I just Googled it real quick. I mean, it's ironic, too, because we have to talk about a Pac-12 team this week. So it's even doubly ironic because that Pac-12 team is amplifying the problem that the Pac-12 seems to be trying to fix. But, that's later. But, wow, that's
necessary. But it's the Southeastern Conference, Alabama won the conference last year. As Dallas mentioned, they made Kyler Murray look normal in the semifinals, but they messed around and got clapped by Clemson in that championship. Clap, clap. Hey, I have no bias over here, no whatsoever. Clemson was the better team. Clemson was the better talent. Enough said. Georgia, as Dallas mentioned, got clapped up by Texas. Clap, clap. Don't worry, you'll hear Texas again a little bit later on. Don't worry. Florida. What did Florida do to John Harbaugh? I'm just saying, like, now, granted, some of his best players decided not to play because they wanted to assert themselves for the draft and all that stuff, but still.
Damn, like that's telling. Anytime that I get a chance, Darnell, I'm gonna take it. Ain't that a B? That Big Blue had the world in the palm of their hands. All they had to do was beat their rival, Darnell. All they had to do was show some school spirit and pride. And you know what? They can't do that. They controlled their own destiny. And what do? Well, we could be the SEC team. We could go up against some competition. Florida's got a guy going in the first round every year. Nah, I'm going to sit this one out. Sorry, Coach Harbaugh, but, my career playing for you. Falling in the draft and only had 6.5 sacks the season, my senior season, playing for you. Devin Bush sure could have padded his stats, but he did not.
It's a Southeastern Conference. As you know, as we do when we talk about conferences, we add to schedule. So right now, I got Alabama schedule up, LSU, Georgia, and Florida schedule up, and I'll let Dallas handle the rest of it if you want. So we're gonna start off with the team who won the conference last year, as always. Nick Saban, them Crimson Tides of Alabama. They get their season started August 31st against Duke. I think some people just said, "Huh? What?" Yeah. The Duke is the first game on the schedule for Alabama. So, yes.
We don't have the first-round quarterback anymore, so God bless the dead.
We're gonna put a check mark by that. Next up, September 7th, New Mexico State.
Told you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. New Mexico State, God bless them. They're still FBS independent last time I checked. Why are we playing, bottom feeder FBS independence week 2? Because you're in the SEC and you need a bye week.
September 14th at South Carolina.
Told you. Power 5 opponent, FBS jackass, SEC opponent.
The following week, Southern Miss, check. Following week, Ole Miss, check. Bye week. At Texas A&M, October 12th. Circle that game.
Jesus.
Home to Tennessee the week after. Home to Arkansas. Check. Bye week. Home to LSU. Circle that game.
Oh, God.
At Mississippi State. We're going to put a question mark by that one. A question mark.
Yeah,
Western Carolina. Check. At Auburn to finish out the season. Circle that game. I have 3 games circled and 1 question. Yep, that sounds about a typical Alabama schedule.
That sounds about like the SEC. I mean, it's Alabama we're talking about, and you found 3 circle games and a question mark. And the interesting thing about Mississippi State is Mississippi State is usually a good defensive team. How do you hang with a team you're not supposed to be competing against? You got to keep them from scoring for a little bit. Your offense has to have a chance. I don't know, because Mississippi State had Dak Prescott, and I think they went straight into Nick Fitzgerald for a couple of years. So Mississippi State has set up a pretty decent pedigree of having a dual-threat quarterback that can basically carry the game on his own, and a defense that gives him a short field and gives him a chance to get some first downs and eat up some clock. I'm not familiar with who Mississippi State is starting at quarterback coming into the year, but by the time that game happens, that question mark could become a circle, because if Mississippi State keeps the formula that's been working for them, because for whatever reason, high schools keep kicking out these dual threat guys that succeed on the college level. NFL level, well, that's a completely different story, but dual threat quarterbacks seem to be very plentiful in the South. So I am interested for that game.
All right. You got a schedule you want to go through before I continue?
Well, we got Tennessee. Some will overlap, but Georgia State, that's what they're opening up with. Then they have BYU and Chattanooga. And that's a bitch schedule, and I don't mean that in the good way. That is a bitch schedule. Because after the first 3 weeks where they're hopefully walking out 3-0 and giving themselves a chance, they face Florida, then Georgia, then Mississippi State, then Alabama, then South Carolina. Then they get maybe a reprieve, but not much of a reprieve because it's Tennessee we're talking about, against UAB. Then they go to Kentucky. Then they go to Missouri. And then they host Vanderbilt at the end. Their season is going to be done before the Vanderbilt game, but at least they have a chance to end on a high note.
They got BYU on the schedule.
Yeah, UAB on the schedule, and Georgia State's FCS. Yeah, they got BYU and UAB on the schedule.
A group of 5 team that we like to talk about is in the SEC game.
I know early in the season too. That top 5 is a strong group right now, Darnell.
Whew. Oh boy! All right, LSU, Georgia Southern to open up. Then it's the trip to Austin, Texas to take on them Longhorns. Tucker that put a star by that game.
So early.
And then we got Northwest. Is that Northwestern State? I want to say Northwestern State.
Is it NWST?
Yeah.
Might be North Washington State.
Okay. Then at Vanderbilt on the 21st. Dallas, you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
So they play Vanderbilt. Is Utah taking a trip to Baton Rouge? That's 2 of 5 teams we talked about playing an SEC team. Then it's Florida. You got to go from Utah State to Florida. Well, at least both games are at home for them. So that should do them good. At Mississippi State, home to Auburn. At Alabama, at Ole Miss, home to finish out the season against Arkansas and Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your case about the SEC West is, because if somehow LSU get through this schedule, but ain't no way you can lead them out.
That's what I'm telling you, man. But check this, bro. Right now, you're basically going between Arkansas and Vanderbilt as far as who the laughing stock of the SEC is. Tennessee's down there, but at the same time, Tennessee always turns in 5 or 6 wins. They're usually competing to make a bowl. Whereas Arkansas and Vanderbilt, they're just there to be there. But, Darnell, I'm going to tell you this schedule because Kentucky, where the hell did we have Kentucky last year? I don't know what Derek Mason's doing over there. I don't know what they got going on. I don't think anybody gives a damn what they got going on. But this is how Vanderbilt opens up. Georgia, Purdue, LSU, Northern Illinois. That's the first 4 weeks.
Hold on, say that again?
Georgia, Purdue, LSU, Northern Illinois. Those are the first 4 games.
That's a third group of 5 that's playing the ACC team.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, look, hey. Go back and check the tape. Not you particularly, Darnell. Go back and check the tape. We deliberated over who the bottom 2 teams are going to be. It was a serious conversation because there are a lot of legitimate schedules out there in the group of 5 And these guys have no chance to make playoffs. But, dude, Vanderbilt, focusing on Vanderbilt, you have Georgia. You have Purdue, the team that beat Ohio State and kept them out the playoff. You have LSU, who was always a national contender. And then you have a group of 5 team that's pretty much going to be the savior of the MAC. The only chance the MAC has to play in a New Year's Six Bowl is Northern Illinois. Like, everybody else just declined over the past couple of years. And Northern Illinois is the only one with, like, a track record because of the Jordan Lynch days to where the voters will remember that name. It's not going to be Toledo. It's not going to be Western Michigan. Not going to be Miami, Ohio. It's going to be Northern Illinois. If Vanderbilt somehow, some way can win the Northern Illinois game, win the Purdue game, and get an upset against Georgia or LSU, Darnell, they're in the hunt. Because then they have Mississippi, UNLV, Missouri, and South Carolina. That UNLV game, if you could beat a Georgia or LSU, you should win that game. You should win that Mississippi game. South Carolina, you should win that game. Missouri is a toss-up. Missouri is weird because you have to wonder who's been sent behind Drew Lock all these years. Is the dude going to be ready? Because that's the time of the season where it's like kinks should be worked out. Then they have Florida, Kentucky, East Tennessee State, and Tennessee. Vanderbilt should be going bowling simply because of how they did their schedule. They got Purdue, they got Northern Illinois, they got UNLV, that's 3. They got Eastern Tennessee State, that's 4. Then you got Mississippi, Tennessee, South Carolina to find 2 out of 3 out of. And Kentucky lost a lot of talent. Vanderbilt should be going bowling.
Derek Mason, he's saying y'all should be in a bowl game. So
I can tell you right now, if Vanderbilt makes a bowl game, I would imagine everybody except for Arkansas at the very least is also making a bowl game. And if the SEC fields all but one team in their conference in a bowl game, because there's more than enough bowl games to go around, and truth be told, there's more than enough wins to go around between the added conference schedules and just the fact that, everybody gets 12 games to beat up on each other. Everybody but Arkansas should make a bowl game.
all right. So at Vanderbilt, as Dallas mentioned earlier, Murray State, Arkansas State, Notre Dame, all 3 at home. Bye week at Tennessee, home to South Carolina, home to Kentucky. Bye week. Then they play Florida and Jacksonville, home to Missouri, at Auburn, home to Texas A&M, and take that short trip to the ATL to take on Georgia Tech.
They might as well just stay there. Never know.
So we're looking at what? Notre Dame, Florida, Missouri, Auburn, and Texas A&M.
It's a tough schedule, but the thing with Georgia at this point is they've established the fact that they're up there. They've established the fact that if they were to win that schedule, how can you keep them out?
What you got?
Arkansas. This is a bitch-made schedule, too. They open up with Portland State. Then they go to Mississippi. Then they play Colorado State and San Jose State. So the first 4 games of the season, they got an FCS team and 2 group of 5 teams.
At least 3 of them.
Brett's Arkansas. Then you got Texas A&M, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State. Hopefully a break. Probably won't be against Western Kentucky. Then they play LSU. Then they finish out against Missouri. So 1, 2, 3, 4 games against non-Power 5 teams. Which means that they also are trying to put themselves in a position where they just got to get 2 upsets out of 8. They just got to get 2 upsets out of 8 games to make a bowl.
All right. The Tigers of Auburn. I think they playing in Dallas against Oregon for that game. Then it's Tulane, Kent State at Texas A&M September 21st for that game. Then it's home to Mississippi State for that game. Then it's at Florida the week after. Jeez. That's 3 games right there. bye week at Arkansas, at LSU, home to Ole Miss bye week, Georgia, Sanford, and Alabama. Between the 21st of September to October 5th, boy, we gonna know what Auburn looking like because that's at Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and at Florida.
That's not fun. Dudes are gonna be sore. Let's see here. Let's see what's but of course, Mississippi State. What's their schedule? Oh wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mississippi State's schedule is interesting, Darnell.
Okay.
They open up against Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, which have been a consistent competitor in the Sun Belt. So even though it is a Sun Belt team, I mean, it's the opening of the season. You never know. Then they play Southern Miss. They're going to Lafayette the first week of the season. Then they host Southern Miss the second game, and they host Kansas State week 3.
Ooh, K-State, Big 12.
Then they play Kentucky. Then they play Auburn. Then they play Tennessee. And then it's the traditional SEC West schedule, the Hell Dogs of LSU, Texas A&M. You know, they got Arkansas bye week. Alabama. Oh, wow. Abilene Christian. Yo, shout out to the – wow. Well, I don't understand putting Abilene Christian that late in the season. But then again, you know, hey, or you're trying to make sure you make it to a bowl game because then they play Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl to close out the season. I can't remember the last time the Egg Bowl closed out the season.
The Egg Bowl usually closes out the season. That's like rivalry week. That's like the same week as the Iron Bowl. It might be on a different day.
It's crazy because the Army-Navy game throws me off. It's like 2 weeks after everybody else's rivalry game. So I keep forgetting that like rivalry week is like the pre-postseason week.
Yeah, so that Thanksgiving week is like, that's rivalry week.
That makes more sense.
My beloved Gators. Again, we'll get into a little bit later on, but they open up in Orlando against them Hurricanes of Miami. And since that game was moved up, because that game was scheduled for the 31st, but they moved it up a week, so that means the 31st is a bye week for them. So the Gators and the Canes got an extra bye week. Then it's UT Martin at Kentucky. That's going to be interesting after what happened last year. Then it's home to Tennessee, Tulsa, home to Auburn, at LSU. After LSU had to come to us twice after that whole schedule thing that they didn't like. So now we finally go back there after 2 years. At South Carolina, then our second bye week. That trip to Jacksonville against Georgia. So yet again for another year, Georgia and Florida will have bye weeks before they meet here in Jacksonville. This is always interesting.
That's important.
On to Vanderbilt at Missouri bye week. And then the Seminoles coming to Gainesville.
You could spoil yet another bowl appearance. Because, man, like, here's the weird thing about football. For whatever reason, your guys' pass rushers don't always translate to the NFL. By always, I mean never. But, man, while they're in a blue uniform, they get after it. And the fact that FSU still has questions about who the hell is going to be blocking for whoever the hell is throwing passes. This might be the year for Willie Taggart. Hell, it might be the year for Jim Harbaugh, too. You never know. You never know.
It's the SEC, man. Yeah.
It's the SEC. It's a refrain that we keep going back to, but what are we really supposed to say? It's the SEC. Because I'm going to give you a team that's probably going to be in the shits. But if they were to go undefeated with this schedule, they have a chance. Ole Miss opening up against Memphis.
Ooh.
Then they host Arkansas. It's Arkansas, yes, but it's an SEC West team early in the season, and you never know in college football.
And it's
so you play. And, Memphis is on the road. Yeah, Memphis is on the road. Arkansas is at home. Southeastern Louisiana, FCS team. But then they play Cal, who had a very, very, very good defense last year. that defense was something else. And Mississippi just lost a bunch of weapons, namely Metcalf. So I lost a deep threat receiver. I think they lost another dude too. Then they play Alabama. Then they play Vanderbilt. Then they play Missouri. Then they play Texas A&M. Then Auburn. Then New Mexico State, LSU, Mississippi State.
Boy.
It's the SEC, man.
I'm starting to see something here, though.
What?
I'm not going to include Alabama in it because who the hell is Duke? But from what I heard, I don't heard Northern Illinois. I don't heard Utah State, Memphis, Oregon, Cal, Miami.
Tejas?
They try to schedule. Some of the SEC teams are actually trying to schedule. Oh, maybe Notre Dame for Georgia.
It's weird because the SEC commissioner out of everybody should be the most complacent guy in college football. He basically knows that as long as he turns out somebody with one loss or less, he's going to make the playoff. Why the hell would he need to be negotiating and bartering with these other sorry-ass conferences when there's only one school in the land that even has a shot to be the SEC school in the national title game? But here we are. In 2019, apparently the SEC has something to say.
I mean, Alabama did get their ass whooped. That was embarrassing to watch.
Well, you know.
Which is hard to say about a Nick Saban team.
Makes you wonder. Alabama, for the longest time, their only weakness has been they haven't had a consistent passer at quarterback. Tua. The Kyler Murray thing happened to him against Clemson. But see, Clemson had some dogs, though. That defensive line purposefully stayed together to make some noise and handle unfinished business. Are they going to have just a straight platoon of heavy-duty work to come after the top-level teams and offensive lines? Because here's the thing with Notre Dame. That dog unit that Clemson had, Notre Dame usually turns out the best offensive lineman in the draft. They usually have the best built offensive lines in the country. So now you're talking about a situation where it's like, okay, if Clemson just graduated and got their whole starting defensive line drafted, Oklahoma usually turning out first-round picks on O-line. Notre Dame, Zach Martin was a MVP of a bowl game one year. Alabama, dude, it's Alabama. Alabama got like a starter on almost every NFL offensive line. That's a small thing that we really don't pay attention about because there's so many things to cover when we talk about college football. But I really, really think that we talked about the defensive line during the game when they did all the recaps and the storylines or whatever. But all those dudes getting drafted, I think that shows like how much they're working from behind now. Because Trevor Lawrence is really, really good. But there's film on him now.
That's the SEC. I tell you. Yeah, they got some games coming in the Southeastern Conference.
What kind of games are they?
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? It's a long process. It's a hard, thought-out process. Yeah, I know. I was there. From March of this year, thinking about how I'm going to do this, doing all my research, trying to get everything right. What platforms can we use and how we going to record it and how we going to make it sound good and make it all this happen. And then I came upon Anchor. The Anchor app on my phone, the easiest choice I could ever make to do a podcast. It's free to use. You don't got to pay for nothing. You can record episodes whenever you're ready. You can edit it and then you can release it when you want to. And you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how you're going to distribute it on other platforms because Anchor has partnerships with Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Cast, whatever you name it. Because the Playmakers Wild Podcast is the podcast that I use. We are on all them platforms. We're on 9 platforms just by using the Anchor app. So pretty much all the questions that you have questions about doing a podcast, go to the Anchor app or go to the Anchor website, anchor.fm.com, and just search through it, ask questions. Because I tell you, a free app that does all this, there's nothing more you can ask for. I even got friends
They doing their podcast on the Anchor app. Faith Talk, you might have heard of it because it's very good. And it's great that it's an app like this, it's a website like this that makes it easier for people to do podcasts and do what they love best, talking about the things that they love to talk about. So give Anchor a try, say how much you like it. We'll love to hear your podcast.
And so as we go transition to we have some games this weekend.
God, you just butchered my segue. Thanks a lot. All you had to do was lay it up.
So 2 games on the docket. They actually count this as week 1. Believe it or not.
It's not going to be week 0. It's going to be week 1.
Like, this week and next week is all combined as week 1. Yeah. So. But 7 p.m. ABC College Game Day will be there. It's the Camping World Classic down in Orlando, Florida. The number 8 ranked team in the poll, the Florida Gators. By the way, we had 6 SEC teams ranked in the top 25.
Do you remember who they are?
Alabama at 2, Georgia at 3, LSU at 7, Florida at 8. We had Auburn was at, I want to say Auburn was somewhere 10 and 15, and Texas A&M was ranked like 16.
Mm-hmm. So, Darnell, I mean, you've been lobbing it to me to start off, but this is definitely a situation where no, you need to go first.
I was going to get there. Hold on. So, we usually do social media polls, but, I got a Facebook poll for the Miami and Florida game. And how you think people did on Facebook, Dallas? By the way, 134 votes.
I mean, those Miami fans are like the college. Miami fans are like Los Angeles Chargers and Cowboy fans, but it's even worse because it's college football. You ask a Miami fan, this is probably the year. So if you had a lot of Miami fans, Darnell, I can only imagine.
So 134 votes. 72.4% went to Florida. And 27.6 went to Miami.
Damn. This is a surprise.
So, game 1 of the entire college football season will be held in Florida. And everybody knows me who knows the show. I'm a Gator fan, so I ain't picking against Florida.
It's Miami too. I would hope you didn't.
So you can put me down for the Florida Gators. And we ranked 8th in the country too? Yes. I'm going Florida. Dallas?
I mean, I'm not trying to pay off my mortgage or, buy a Lamborghini, so I'm not betting against Florida because there's truly no benefit. I mean, Miami had a dude. Let me remember, see if I can remember this right. A dude from Georgia transferred to Ohio State, which had a dude from Ohio State forced out to transfer to Miami. The dude that transferred to Miami from Ohio State got beat out by a true freshman. New head coach, true freshman at quarterback, and new head coach, true freshman at quarterback, the veteran quarterback that transferred in, his ass couldn't win the job, so God knows what actually happened in camp that we didn't see. Hopefully he doesn't have to get into the game because, again, when they're in college, Florida's defensive linemen are some of the best in the country. They're very disruptive. And then, whatever opinions you have about Florida's starting quarterback, he has New Year's Six Bowl experience, and he was the starting quarterback the season they got to a New Year's Six Bowl. So they have a veteran coming back who is a very stable game manager and who now has had another offseason to improve his technique and improve his game. And, between Muschamp's defense getting after it and having a solid game manager at quarterback, and Florida's always going to have talent at the skill positions. There's a reason why this game hasn't been consistently scheduled. And why the hell Miami's new head coach would decide to allow this game to happen and let you know long term he might not be what Miami needs. Because
Matter of fact, they schedule a home series start on 2020.
See, hell, even Mark Richt played at Georgia, and his ass even knew not to schedule Florida. Mark Richt played at Georgia, and he didn't schedule Florida. What the hell are you, Diaz? Like, okay. Because all you need to really do is beat Clemson in the ACC championship game to get into your Six Bowl. Hell, if you have one loss and you beat Clemson, you're going to the playoff. Setting yourself up for failure this early by playing an SEC team that was in the New Year's Six Bowl last year, and you have a freshman quarterback and a new head coach. All right. F it up then.
So, but remember last year, I think Miami ranked to begin the season last year, and then they ran into LSU.
Well, you know. If you
not ranked, they playing against a SEC team.
If you want ratings and you want that building to break even the weekend it opens, you schedule an SEC game.
We both picking Florida. And we have another game, though, in which I'm going to pass it to my partner, Dallas.
Yes. Wait. So, wait, that's it, though? I mean, I wanted you to go first because I wanted to make sure you got it, like, you know, everything you needed. Like, that's all you're going to do about Florida, or are you going to wrap it back around? You know?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, folks and peoples, we have a mythical national championship here at the Playmakers Blog podcast, because we know that after UCF got donezoed, after their quarterback got snapped up and the team got clapped up by LSU in the Sugar Bowl, we knew that there was possibly going to be no way that they were ever going to make the playoffs. So me and Darnell have decided. Fiesta Bowl? Oh, well, you know, either way, it was a New Year's Six Bowl that they lost, which basically meant that the group of five is never going to make a playoff ever. It was a bowl that they lost to an SEC team, and they probably need to win that bowl because, now there's reason for precedence. So as of right now, UCF, said team that got clapped up, is the only team in the AP Top 25. But that doesn't matter because we're going to pay attention to them all, and we're starting with Hawaii and Arizona. Hawaii is on the bubble as far as the Playmakers Blog podcast top 5 goes. And they open up with a Power 5 team, a team from the Pac-12, a team that they might be able to beat. Kevin Sumlin had a rough year last year. A rough year. And that rough year happened after having a down year that got him ousted in favor of Jimbo Fisher as far as Texas A&M goes. So, Darnell, you're going to Hawaii. You're going to Hawaii's home turf. You have to deal with the jet lag, and you have to deal with the fact that, hey, Hawaii doesn't come from a garbage conference. Hawaii plays in the Mountain West. They're basically playing some of the best competition in the group of 5 on a consistent basis. And you're not that hot. You're not working out that well. The guy who was supposed to be a front runner for the Heisman last year, we didn't hear from him. We didn't hear from him, and it wasn't because of the kickoff times, Darnell. We didn't hear from him because we were wondering what the hell happened. So now, it's all a matter of, does the group of 5 open up strong, or does Arizona get a head start on the Pac-12? Me personally, I think that the smart pick is to pick the Power 5 team. Simply because when you look at Hawaii's overall performance, when you look at the logistical issues that are associated with Hawaii, when you look at Hawaii's just overall just makeup and infrastructure, there's a reason why they play in the same bowl game every single year. And I'm not saying that playing in the Hawaii Bowl because of logistics and knowing that you only have one bowl that you're really going for is going to make Hawaii complacent. But what I am saying is, Kevin Sumlin, you just came from a school where you were at the tail end of your tenure in the Big 12, you played in the Big 12. The majority of your tenure there, you played in the SEC. You had a college football Hall of Famer come through, you missed. You had a bunch of other first-round picks come through, you missed. And you knew what it took to succeed in the SEC. You knew what it took to survive being in a dogfight every single week. You are now in a Power 5 conference yet again, and you're at a school where, just like Texas A&M, they ain't the hottest show in town right now. You can't start the season on the road against a team that plays in a very strong Power 5 conference and just walk in and think you're going to win. Darnell, if Arizona is going to win the game, which I think they will win the game, they're basically going to have to be showing the country what's to come. They're not only going to have to skunk Hawaii, they're going to have to beat Hawaii by at least 30. Because I think that this team needs a fast start. I think Arizona having a player be so popular, I think Arizona having a starting quarterback be like a preseason Heisman favorite. I think them having Kevin Sumlin, who had just came from Texas A&M, and Jimbo Fisher, who had just screwed the pooch at FSU. I think that all that got them a little bit too happy. They forgot that their rival had Herm Edwards, who was a solid guy and had a solid season. They forgot that the Pac-12 was a Power 5 conference, and they played the same sport of college football just like everybody else, and then Washington State came out of nowhere. Arizona has to be thinking ahead in the good way. Don't overlook Hawaii. Blow Hawaii the hell out so that you show the rest of the conference what's to come. With that being said,
yes, sir.
Darnell, if Hawaii wins this game, they are jumping Northern Illinois in the top 5. If I pull out my handy-dandy reference book, should have did that 5 minutes ago. But if I do that, right now we have UCF at number 1, Hawaii at 2, Boise State at 3, Utah State at 4, Houston at 5. And oh, never mind. Thank God we didn't make that mistake. We have Northern Illinois and App State on the bubble. But because, this is week 1, and because a crap ton of teams are playing SEC teams in the first 2 weeks, Darnell, if Hawaii wins this week, and the rest of the week will play out, but opening up at home, basically the first day of the season, all the lights are on you in prime time after Florida absolutely just dominates Miami and makes everybody bored. You have a shot. Because if you're opening up with a Power 5 opponent and you beat a Power 5 opponent, you're making yourself look really good amongst the rest of the group of 5s, especially when they all have balls and want to start off against the SEC.
No, just in case y'all missed it, our top 7 right now.
Stop trying to put Northern Illinois in the poll. It's a top 5.
I'm saying
it's a top 5.
UCF, Army, Boise, Utah State, Houston with Northern Illinois and Appalachian State running that out. Hawaii opening up against Kevin Sumlin and Khalil Tate could be vital. You said Arizona should beat them by 30.
Yeah.
I did another Facebook poll for that game. 53 votes. 54.7% went to Arizona and 45.3% went to Hawaii. You got some believers in Hawaii there, or maybe nobody believes in Kevin Sumlin and Arizona Wildcats.
It's probably the latter.
But I think you're picking Arizona.
Hawaii.
Where are they playing at? Hawaii. Are you allowed to focus?
To what?
Are you allowed to focus?
That is not the reason why people lose at Hawaii. Trust me, it's the jet lag more than anything. It is not the vacation time. You don't have time to vacation in Hawaii. By the time you get there, you're trying to adjust and not sleep throughout the day. You got to think they're going to get there. They're probably going to get there since the games are actually on a Saturday this year, Thursday. They're probably going to get there Thursday. They're probably going to walk through and get familiar with things on Friday. They're going to be tired of shit while they're doing that because it's actually going to be like 2 hours ahead where they're from. They're going to be 2 hours back, which means that when they wake up for breakfast at 6 or 7, it's actually like 5 o'clock in the morning. Then, luckily it's a night game because they're going to need that time to sleep in. Because, it's a night game Hawaii standard. We're talking about Eastern times. So that means 7 hours back, they'll be playing like the early afternoon, early evening Hawaii time. Yeah, that's not why teams lose. It is not because of vacation time.
Jet lag, a very lovely place to be at. It's a lot of distractions and dealing with this, dealing with that.
Are you familiar with the way that college football works when it's not bowl season?
Yeah, I am. Kevin Sumlin, I think you're in the same boat as John Harbaugh and Willie Taggart. That's the thing is, your name hasn't been brought up.
benefit of being out west.
You definitely have to go ahead and get the upper hand on the Pac-12, like on Saturday night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I'm gonna roll with the Wildcats. I'm gonna roll with the Wildcats by 3.
Okay, today is. Oh wow. Okay, I was right. 13 hours ago, as of this recording, they were traveling out of Arizona to get to Honolulu. So yeah, they're traveling. Probably just got there, and that jet lag is kicking in like an MF. They're probably like sleep. They're either still in the air or sleep.
So there you have it. You will see. You will get our pick on Twitter and Facebook the day of the games, because the first game don't start at 7 o'clock Eastern time, then 10 o'clock.
So that's probably like 3 o'clock Hawaii time.
We both going to Arizona, so it's not that hard. But hey, we finally get some real football going.
I know, because that shit the NFL's been putting out. My God, there's a reason why I like college more than NFL. Jesus Christ, the preseason is something else.
Speaking of preseason, you got it's week 3, which is the dress rehearsal. So,
I mean, the first half should be a little bit better, but again, quote unquote vanilla. Although I haven't really been hearing much about the pass rushers. Haven't been hearing much about Bush. Definitely haven't seen much from Allen. Haven't seen much or heard much from the first rounders from last year. Even though everything's vanilla, I haven't heard a lot from the sack masters and the pass rush specialists from the first round this year.
Preseason football.
Ricky's got to adjust. That's why they need the snaps.
But as usual, we talk about one conference. We only got 2 games, so we didn't do that much. If you guys should think about it, how we usually do college. But as we close out, Dallas wrestling, what's going on?
I mean, this is one of those rare weeks where, wait a minute, so, damn, now that I think about it, yeah, we recapped SummerSlam and TakeOver last week, right? Mm-hmm. Yo, this is one of the rare weeks where there is no recap of a pay-per-view and no pay-per-view to basically, look forward to. That's probably why we had the King of the Ring going on right now. So King of the Ring is going on right now. It's Bailey. It's going to be facing Charlotte. Charlotte's probably on the road to number 10. We can all deep side with that. But Becky Lynch is facing Sasha, which means that Natalya is not competing for a title. We can all be gleeful about that. And then Shane McMahon is still in a feud with a top babyface, which, that said top babyface is no longer in the King of the Ring tournament, which means that Baron Corbin or Drew McIntyre probably going to win it, which probably means that Baron Corbin is going to be.
I was going to get happy for it, man, until you said that.
I mean, the fact that, okay, so Cesaro's out, but Samoa Joe is in. I think Samoa Joe has to face Cedric Alexander. We know it's...
No. Samoa Joe's waiting on a winner for Ricochet and Drew McIntyre.
Okay, so we know Samoa Joe's getting eliminated.
And Cedric Alexander's waiting on whoever else is the other match for Raw.
Baron Corbin's in that one then, which means that Baron Corbin's probably going to win. Which, God bless Cedric Alexander, but...
Anyway, I'm going to bring you NXT, and we got some news on NXT too.
Yay!
And I'm also going to bring up AEW because there's a lot of things going on, and I think we might have forgot about AEW at some point. But AEW doing something in October too, at the same time as SmackDown Live doing something.
Well, no, at the same time as NXT is doing something. Getting your words mixed up.
No. I got you. Okay, trust me on this. You don't want to miss it because the first week in October is going to be ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I can only imagine between the XFL doing this rollout yesterday and the big news in it. Jack Con's putting out a lot of money between Fulham, the Jaguars, and AEW. AEW better make that money back.
We'll see. But hey, that's all we got for you. Subscribe to us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter. You can listen to the podcast not only on Anchor but on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we have a YouTube channel. So whatever you feel comfortable with, use that to listen to us. So until then, We'll talk to you next time.
Later. Fuck the Titans.